Reverse labor reforms is a very familiar word to all of us. Employees and trade unions, business and employers, and the government as well. This is a triangular approach. The triangle is incomplete without an arm. Here in labor reforms, stakeholders look from their own angle. Employees and the workmen look from their own angle in terms of secured employment, payment of fair wages, and no accountability for productivity. And business, it is not their accountability at all. Whereas the business looks for flexibility and re-engagement and re-engagement, increase in output, increase in productivity, and to stand with the global competitiveness. The government, of course, looks for improvement in the conditions of service, national economy, and national growth. So, in this direction, in India, we have 3 Labour Commission reports. In fact, the first Labour Commission, 1931, of Royal Commission, I should say that this is the basic foundation of labour laws and reforms. The commission was formed in the year 1931 by Henry Whiteley, and they did a fantastic work. They conducted very detailed study in India of all the working class and their conditions of service and their standard of living in terms of their hygienic in the factory and outside the factory, and the payment of fair wages and everything they thoroughly examined. It was alarming to see that the working hours were not restricted in a way. Though the Factories Act stipulated 10 hours a week, 10 hours a day, and 50 hours in a 60 hours in a week, then it is not a controlled week. Particularly, employment of children has no control at all, and everything was a big issue. And on account of the increase in cost of living due to the war and etc., the workers getting small wages was a big challenge, and it need to be regulated. In fact, the commission went much into details, and they strongly recommended the various legislation to be formed to control all these things. In fact, on account of the government of India, they introduced 13 legislations, right from the Payment of Wages Act, Minimum Wages Act, and all those acts they evaluated, and some kind of a discipline was to bring in. They did a fantastic work. Now the second thing was the first level committee report of Gajendra Gadkar in 1969. So there the government wanted to review the changes in working conditions of labor since independence and their standard of living, and to examine various the other parameters of business and everything, and to recommendation. But here, although they did lot of fantastic work, they did it, but ultimately the recommendations were not that appealing to anyone. Most of the recommendations they address to employers in terms of improve the conditions. Please improve your working conditions, pay fair wages, then protect the interests of the workers, to encourage collective bargaining and reduce number of disputes. It's only just recommendatory support, but there was no legal support to the business. Of course, the commission appreciated the business growth, but there was no adequate support to them under these commissions. Number of strikes and lockouts, industry is a major challenge, but here also there was no suggested or recommended legal remedies, and there are no incentives for foreign direct investment to promote industrial growth, and no recommendations were done, and no legal support to industries to encounter and face challenges due to automation, rationalization, and other processes, and no amendments of any legislation in this direction. So this was a a limited report, which again did not much happen, but at the same time it gave an opportunity for the commission to study the conditions of labor between the post-independence era up to 1969, they examined it, but the scenario was not that encouraging. Now, the next commission report, let us examine it, which is the important thing from all point of view. Here, this was formed in 2002 by Mr. Ravindra Verma, and in fact, they also did fantastic work at that time. Now, here in this, we should emphasize that this period is very important because um, consequent to 1991, our liberalization and economic reforms, the industries were facing a lot of challenges. At the same time, the trade unions also were facing a lot of challenges because they wanted the wages to be increased, whereas the employer says that we have to fight the global competitiveness. It has to be in terms of increasing productivity. I should have the liberty to rationalize. We should have liberty to have flexible deployment, and we should remove the restrictions on the layoff, retrenchment, and closures, and also give relief under Section 9A. We should not have any conditions. This is the major recommendations by the employers. But here also, all the commission went into detail, but they came with a different thing altogether. They said that let us uh, combine the legislations into four segments: law relating to wages, then industrial law, then regulatory legislations grouped together, the social security and other legislations, which include proposals for what you call unorganized workers also. And also they recommended national floor based minimum wages, that is living wages. And they also drafted the law on wages, the law on labor management, model standing orders, industrial commissions, and industrial health insurance and occupational health safety and national safety. These are the important things. They, in fact, they drafted. Now, if we see our new four labor codes, most of the labor codes have in labor codes, the recommendations made by this commission have been straightly borrowed. For instance, law on wages, today we see that code on wages. Law on labor management, we see on code on industrial relations, we see there. And model standing orders is also incorporated. And also we have national safety and health insurance code, it is also there. And also social security code we have combining all these things. In fact, the commission had drafted these things based on various logics. But my suggestion is that one has to please go through the details in the book, which we have described in detail the various steps on this. It is really highly recommended to read everything because during this period the central government took a lot of initiatives in forming various commissions and committees to go into details of labor management. It is very interesting to see all those things, and some of the recommendations have been taken and then put it in the labor code itself. Now, coming to the workers, or the employees, recommendations were national floor minimum wages. There is need based living wages. Wages to be redefined. Wage limits for ESI and coverage, PF and ESI coverage to be eliminated. National health insurance. Grievance redressal committee with power to aggrieved government to seek arbitration. Definition of workman modified to include all personnel drawing more than 25,000 rupees, including managerial. Protection to the managerial personnel in matter of termination and salary. Workers must be taken into confidence before effecting any change in service conditions, that is layoff, retirement and closure. Unemployment insurance, skill training, upgradation. Upgradation of multiple skills development are very essential to constitute independent regulatory authorities. So these are the recommendations in favor of the people. Let us see about the management, about the business. Here, no relief under Section 9A of the Industrial Dispute Act. Wider definition of workman. So this including the managerial staff. Proposals under grievance management to lead multiple litigations. Then limit for seeking permission to lay off closure is enhanced to 300 as against 100. That's the only thing, but again, it has retained at 100 only. The response to employers in creating good ethical practices and work culture, work ethics through effective managerial effectiveness and develop healthy human relations and HR interventions. In fact, for this, the Commission was not required to give the recommendation because right from 1991, the industries proactively started and educating the workmen and the trade unions about the impact of globalization and how one should collaborate each other to arrive at a win-win situation. In fact, we should compliment the trade union leaders and the workers because they understood the effects of globalization and came forward and this one. So what happened? We shifted from a confrontation scenario to collaborative scenario during this year. That's the reason why the globalization has been a success, even though Section 9A had not been eliminated or amended. Even though the restrictions on layoff, retirement clauses still persist, the company has done all those things. So, but employers' foresight issues have to take it to workmen. That's what I told you, and and the increase in wages, or there is no recommendation even to bind the employees in terms of productivity, in terms of everything. It is not there at all. But in the and they also recommended heavy penalties. They recommended heavy penalties on the entrepreneurs or the business in terms of violations of law. See here, all three commissions, if you all put together, see, the first Labour Commission, yes, some foundation was required in evaluating the laws regulating the working hours, safety, and housing condition. That's excellent. That's why they have done it. That's really good. But the 1969 Commission, there's not much to be seen here. But the 2002 Commission, they did a lot of work. They recommended, but ultimately it has been reflected in our four labor codes, which is coming through already. Here also, what we can see is that there is not much of a beneficial provisions even in the code also. So my suggestion is that it is better to one should go through and study all the commission reports, which in a summarized way, which is incorporated in my book, and also with the short reports of the various commissions and committees formed by government. And really, it is worth going through and seeing through because it enhances one's legal knowledge and it is an essential for industrial jurisprudence. In short, this is the short presentation on the labor reforms in India. Thank you.